All right, how's everyone tonight? Bob is back with another great edition of Biker News Canada. And this is my live interview series going through the winter. I'll be concentrating on charity organization, events organizers, and riding clubs, social clubs, riding associations. If I haven't contacted you and you would like to get the word out about your event, your club, your association, please contact me and we will get you in for an interview 100%. No political questions. We don't play gotchas here. And it's just going to be a nice, friendly, easy discussion. So today we have got Paul from ASD United, Rides for Autism. So he's a great guy, and he spends a lot of his time and his effort putting these rides on together and to help raise money for autism and for ASD United. So without any further ado, let's welcome up here. Hello, Paul. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Bob. How about yourself?
Good. And welcome to everybody in the chat. I couldn't do this without you guys. It means a lot for everyone, for me, for everyone of you guys to be here. Steve, Barbie, Mike, all of you guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in.
Am I yelling at you? You okay?
Sound good here?
Mike levels are good. Okay. So, Paul, does this ride is it only take place in the Ottawa part of the province, or is it more spread out than I think?
Well, you know what? This past year was our inaugural year for the motorcycle ride for autism. It's following success of other rides for autism, including a Flotilla, a snowmobile ride, and an off-road ride. And we're in Eastern Ontario here, Hawkesbury, right at the Grenville entrance to Quebec, if you will. And we have a huge motorcycle community. And over the years, people kind of keep knocking at the door saying, hey, guys, why don't you throw something together for motorcycle? Let's get this going. So last year, I just happened to get a phone call from a gentleman who was running the Ottawa Valley Power Sport and Motorcycle Show out of Ottawa.
Right.
And it was apparently, I guess, their first year coming back after a number of years. And he said, listen, anybody that participates in your ride can come to our location, come to our event. We'll give them free entry. We offered VIP entrance and some other gifts and whatnot as they entered. So that was how that was born. And our other rides are typically scavenger hunts. Everybody starts in one place, leaves, disperses, and comes back. And what we realized is that kind of limited how far we could draw people in for these rides. So last year's motorcycle ride was one of the first to do a shotgun start, and we had people starting as far as Barrie, Ontario, Toronto, Kingston, Napanee, Cornwall, Montreal, into Quebec, right up into Saint Jerome, all conversing into this one area at that show. And so that was our first time attempting that. And this year we're coming up on our second annual.
So everybody came to you. Well, they got to come to where the ride is, I guess, right?
That's correct, yeah.
The only reason I ask is because when I advertise and when I speak about it, I always put on the caveat in the Ottawa area. Okay. So that people aren't looking for it in Windsor or Manitoba or saying, well, where is this thing?
Right. Well, and this year we're gonna throw a little bit of a twist into it for our participants this year, because some of our participants for the motorcycle ride last year that are familiar with our other group rides are familiar with our setup, which is usually a scavenger hunt. Mm-hmm. And everybody's used to these A to B rides or poker runs, if you will. And something Nicole and I came up with was a scavenger hunt. And what it is we hand all our participants a list in the morning. And during their ride, they need to find and locate certain places, items, maybe hidden items, places of interest. In some cases, they're even stopping and interacting with some of our sponsors. For example, a local fromagerie, a local cheese factory. And you would have to, for example, stop in there, taste a piece of cheese, and guess what kind of cheese it is. And if you happen to get it right, the person there will hand you a prize token worth a certain amount of points. And by the time you arrive to your destination, you have collected all these points, if you will, And that's how we tally points and give out prizes to our participants that support the rides.
See, okay, so the motorcycle one, this is only the second year, but the other ones you've been doing already for a while now?
That's right. Yeah, we started with a flotilla way back in 2017.
So
And
Flotilla, what kind of boats can they use?
so it's open to any kind of boats. We typically see everything from the PWC right up to, I think this year the biggest we saw was a 40-footer on the water with us.
Are you on the Ottawa River?
We are. Yeah, we're on the Ottawa River between Hawkesbury, Ontario, and Ottawa, basically.
Uh-huh.
There's an area outside of Le Virginal that fellow boaters in this area know as the Shallows. And we all congregate there after doing a scavenger hunt on the Ottawa River. The participants end up doing some scavenging, looking for hidden chests on the beach. And yeah, that's how we host the flotilla. But we started that back in 2017 when Nicole and I brought back to Eastern Ontario here. A good friend of mine that owns a local power sports dealership, Maximum Power Sports, he said to me one weekend, Paul, why don't you take a couple of machines out on the water? Go have some fun with some Sea-Doos. So, Nicole and I went out. We took Paul Jr. out on the water. We had a blast for the weekend. And mind you, we had just kind of started ASD United at the same time. ASD United at this point was maybe 20 to 30 members strong. We're now 350.
And we'll circle back to what ASD United is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we went and had a little bit of fun, if you will. We came back in. I said to my buddy Cap, geez, I wish there was some way I could get some of these other kids out on the water. Some of these kids will never have that kind of experience, and they need to have that experience with somebody they trust.
Yeah.
We looked into it, liability-wise, off the charts, absolutely nuts. Insurance companies won't touch it.
Sure.
So, and I said, I think it was Nicole. So, well, what if we did like a flotilla or a gathering on the water? And then that was that's how the idea was born. And in 2017, we did our first flotilla. In 2018, we did our first flotilla, off-road ride, and snowmobile ride all together.
See, my son, he won't get on the back of an ATV or snowmobile or my motorcycle with me. It's not up his alley. It's not his thing. So I know what you're saying about getting the kids out there to participate. He will go on a boat if he's got his life jacket and he knows he's safe. But the other three things where his face is in the air, he's not into that.
Is that right? It can go either way. My son, on the other hand, absolutely loves it. Don't leave a machine running near him if you're not with it, including golf carts. We've learned the hard way.
That's what I was going to ask.
This has been a great opportunity to introduce some of the kids, because some of the kiddos will come out to our different events and whatnot. I think of one of them. His name is Sammy. And this year he's coming up on 16 years old. I had a side-by-side at the off-road ride for autism. And I said, well, buddy, here, it's your turn. It's your turn to drive. So we went out into a field that wasn't on any trail or any road. And about 15, 20 minutes later, this kid was driving it like a pro, to the point I'm taking video. I'm not even paying attention to him anymore. I'm literally leaning out the machine, taking a video, and him hitting the mud holes. So
really, eh?
To see that kind of progression and,
Now, that was one of the obvious questions. How did all this get started?
Well, Nicole and I are not new to autism or autism groups. So our son is autistic nonverbal. Mm-hmm. He's currently 14 years old. He also has diabetes 1. We happen to be doing this interview during World Diabetes Day. So a shout out to everybody that's dealing with diabetes in their life.
Absolutely. I didn't know there was diabetes day. So you have to figure out how to get your son some needles into him every day?
Unfortunately. And he has no idea that he has diabetes or how to manage it, of course.
Right.
Sugar, whatever I can get my hands on. Of course, we need to limit it. But yeah, he has no idea. He's on a pod right now that replaces, Mom and I did a calculation just the other day, actually, almost 30 needles a day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Good thing for that pod.
I'm sorry?
Good thing for, is it one of those pods that goes through the skin?
That's right, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad they came up with those things, because that's one thing. Now, my son, he's on a different spot in the spectrum.
Okay.
He's verbal. Him and I can stand to have a conversation and stuff, but he's always going to need help in his life. He's got no sense of money, no sense of time, and I'm his cook, right? I'm his cook,
Yes.
and I'm the person he needs in the house to feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's how we run it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
He's a pure soul, and he's my son. I love him. Right? What else you gonna say? I got an aunt and uncle who have a nonverbal son, my cousin David, and like my uncle messaged me one time. They're in Acton, Ontario, and he had to go to the dentist, and it took him a month to calm down from a dentist trip.
Yes. Yeah, I know this. My son's 14 now. We're at surgery number 33. 90% of them being all dental, and just the look inside his mouth, he needs to be put under. So that's, a few people wrestling him down, ketamine to calm him, and then all of a sudden a mask to put him under.
Good. Thanks for joining us, American Uncensored. Wow, just to look inside now. Now I had my son had braces, and now, it's like any other kid. He wouldn't listen when it came to the brush your teeth. So now he's going through fillings. He just got some yesterday.
Okay. Well, that's how you learn, right? That's how you learn. So yeah, Nicole and I were no stranger to the autism world. In fact, before we moved back to Eastern Ontario here, Nicole and I had been volunteers for Autism Ontario for a number of years, and to the point my wife was president of the Autism Ontario East Region. And our first fundraiser, when we say that we did the Flotilla back in 2017, our first Flotilla actually benefited Autism Ontario. It wasn't for ASD United. We were a social group at that point, but not a formal group, if you will. And when I think it was roughly about $7,000 we brought in from that one event, we were very excited to hand it over to Autism Ontario. We were super proud.
Yeah.
And it seemed like we were kind of rolling our thumbs to see that money come back to Eastern Ontario. And it's not to, with no disrespect to Autism Ontario, they do amazing things. The way the system works is when the money comes in, it goes out by populace. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're in these wee little niches in the area, tucked into Eastern Ontario or way up in Northern Ontario, you hear these from the people up in Northern Ontario, God bless you all, that you end up kind of excluded from that.
Right.
So that's when Nicole and I went, well, we started that idea for the Rides for Autism and introducing both the off-road and the snowmobile, and then also starting ASD United. So the first thing we did is went to our sponsors and said, hey, what do you think? What if we did this? Would you continue to sponsor us? Would you be behind us? And all of them literally went, let's do it. So
So Autism or ASD United. So that's your charity that you and your wife now started.
That's right. We're both we co-founded. My wife is president. I'm vice president. Yeah.
Okay, and so one of the big questions, and you've seen it on the big media about big charities, and we're now everyone wants to know what happens. So I may as well ask you, what happens with the money that comes?
You know what, I love that question, Bob. And that's, when I talk about Autism Ontario and where that money went, again, I don't want to show any disrespect to Autism Ontario, but no matter what, they're all, there's very fancy offices. There's people with very, very healthy paychecks.
Right. Like the UNICEF people are making a couple $1 million a year. Anyways, carry on. Yeah,
that's exactly it. We went to one of their AGMs after the first Flotilla, and it was nothing but beautiful cars and big watches. And we went, that's not where we want this money to go.
Right.
So for us, we have no paid members. All the money stays within the group. Currently, right now, we have active bi-weekly swim programs, bi-weekly social programs. We do things like Boo at the Zoo or a We May Farms adventure, take them to local areas of entertainment, if you will. We also, now aside from just social, what a lot of people don't get to see behind the scenes, we're also developing a first responders identification program with the Eastern Ontario OPP. And this is a trial program that we're working on right now with them and local fire departments.
I hope it works.
We really hope it does.
Because adults with autism, sometimes they don't stand a chance with the police.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? My boy, as I mentioned, is 14, but he's also nearly 6 foot and 160 pounds.
Right. My son's bigger than me too.
There
And
you go.
my cousin's big guy too. It must be kind of part of it, right?
That's right. You know, when some of these bigger boys flip the switch, if you will, and can't
Right.
control it anymore, they'll hand you your ass real fast. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we've seen even most recently with a local search here in central Ontario of a young boy that went missing. There's a little bit of.
Oh, I think I remember that.
It's most. I don't want to mention any names without permission, but you know that family's had some issues with the OPP. They think they could have done things a little bit differently. And we're actually going to be sitting down with the OPP in the next couple of weeks and talking about some of those issues.
Oh, he was gone by the time they found him?
I believe he ended up being gone 14 days.
Oh, man.
But he was found successfully. He was safe and sound.
Okay.
Absolutely. He was where they expected to find him. So it was a win-win
right,
situation.
Steve.
I think the family's disappointment. They think the OPP could have acted in a different way.
Right.
And you know, Nicole and I have. My wife also works for the court system, and we have experience in catching online predators for the police. So that's as far as I'll go with that. But
we're gonna have to do a whole nother show about that one day.
That's a different show.
Because that's a big issue too. But we'll stick to our issue today.
We're able to live on both sides of the lines, if you will, and we see how important it is to connect them. So we really want, you know, when that fire department goes to knock at Tommy's door because the house is on fire, we want Tommy to recognize that fireman's safe and is trustworthy.
Right.
You know, and another thing we talk about our events, it's just coming up in Hawkesbury. We're having our second annual Skate with Your Heroes. So we rent the rink in Hawkesbury, Ontario, and we invite our local OPP, our RCMP, our local fire stations, ambulance tech, first responders, and local tow agencies, along with all our group members, all their families and friends, if you will, and then all our sponsors, all the sponsors' families and their employees. So we end up filling a rink of this huge community.
Yeah.
Skate with your heroes. And you know what we tell our kids? All these people are your heroes. These people are either here to support you or here to help you in time of need.
See, and does it help? That's why one thing I found from personal experience is when everything's all revved up, and then you got to break it, and then catch your attention and break whatever it is that's got them wound up. And then by that time, who knows what's going to have happened, especially with an interaction with either an unexperienced policeman or somebody who's scared.
Yes.
They usually act bad out of fear. You know what I mean?
That's right. And it's usually a miscommunication. And you know, even adults on the spectrum right now. I mean, the younger kids right now are used to devices, if you will, with speech. You know, speech enablers. My son has one as well.
Does it work?
And oh, absolutely. You know, he uses a program called Prolo to Go, and it's absolutely fabulous. So he's able to switch between his PEC switch pages and then basically hit one button, and it'll say a sentence for him. Whereas, you know, back, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we're talking about PECs, picture exchange communication systems. And it's funny, you know, some of the adults that are dealing with some of these first responders right now, that's more what they're familiar with. And that's one thing Nicole and I are working. We want to put in every police car and fire truck in Ontario and Ontario, Canada, if you will.
Yeah.
Is a small PECs system in their box. We want to supply them with a kit for special needs, and part of that kit will include a picture exchange communication systems for people that are verbally challenged.
What does that mean? All 12 is unnecessary. Is that something to do with what we were talking about? All 12? or is that something in the side chat?
All 12.
Can you see the side chat from where you are? No?
No, I don't see any side chat. No.
Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, well, because when we were talking, somebody put a message up, said all 12, and then said it's unnecessary. What is that SNS? Oh, 12 is police.
Oh.
Oh, God. So, thanks, Mike.
Got it. So yeah, the one thing that Nicole and I have noticed, speaking about different lives, the biker community having its special niche, if you will. We're no stranger to some of our friends there. The North Star Guardians from up in Sudbury. Man, I hope there's at least one of you guys tuning into this. But they've become friends over the years, and there's absolutely nothing this group will not do for a child. I can tell you that. That's all I can say here. That's for sure.
What is that one called? I've had dealings with Northern Mentors from Huntsville.
Okay.
And they will be on for an interview at some point. It's a long winter, right?
So North Star Guardians. I'll send you a link after the show. So
Great, that'd be great. Because I want to talk to all those riding clubs and all those riding associations. There's another big one called Protectors of Youth.
Okay.
That's kind of all through Ontario. I don't know if they made it to Ottawa yet.
Well, we're waiting. North Star Guardians. I'm waiting for the actual commitment, but they usually do one bike a year. They've just done it, but I think what they're considering doing is building us a bike to raffle off.
A raffle bike.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's beautiful. I also, some of the other groups I've gotten to be friendly with, they do raffle bikes for hospices.
Okay, cool.
A lot of bike community helping out the hospices and kids. Those are the two ones, right?
You're right.
So
yeah.
Steve Easy said, my old lady has many nonverbal kids who are autistic and knows all about the nonverbal communication. So one of our guys is his wife's. I didn't know that, Steve. And it changes your life.
Sometimes just finding a common understanding. In our group, when we talk about our autism group, we have people of all ages. Our youngest is 3. Mm-hmm. Our oldest right now is 64 years old. His name is Lawrence. He's got about 10 to 15 words. And he comes out to the swim program. And the first time he came out, I think he said he hadn't been out like that in over a decade.
Well, that's it. My son doesn't leave the house. Part of his thing is he's very anxious. So even when he's speaking to me, he's wringing his hands. And he's nervous that something bad's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And, he went to school till he wasn't interested anymore, which would have been about 18 years old. And since then, he really has no friends or anything. And I got no idea what to do. And when I ask him, he doesn't seem like he wants to do anything.
Right.
But is he just saying that because he thinks that's what I want to hear?
Right. Yeah. Or is it decency? Right. Yeah.
No, Steve, RSNS, it's all good, brother. It made me laugh, man. The 12 thing. Oh, she's a teacher, Steve. So Steve's wife is a teacher. So that's where he says that a bunch of her kids are autistic. Okay. And then another one, Warland said, I know so many folks who are on the autism spectrum, folks you would not suspect who have overcome so much. Well, that's the thing. It's kind of your family will help you and close friends to your family, but not too many other people will ever know. Right. And know what you've overcome. And, there's lots of things to it.
Yeah, definitely takes community. And it's another reason why we're working. Another one of our efforts right now is a national autism camp in Grenville, Quebec.
It is, Steve. Thank you, guys.
So we're one of our ideas is to put together a camp, a place where families can come. We definitely don't want it to be a place where people send their kids. It's not the idea.
Right.
The idea to bring a family or family unit, whether it's somebody with their caregiver or somebody with mom and dad, doesn't matter, but family unit to come to the camp and spend some time, but get respite at the same time as getting quality time together.
Right.
For example, everybody's going to have breakfast together. Kiddos or whoever's going to go off and do some arts. Mom and dad are going to go do some yoga over by the waterfall. And we're going to meet back up at lunch,
Yeah.
and give them
Just,
a
just
place.
like just like anyone going to camps up there with their parents, so they can make some friends,
Right.
and you can decide on your own who you want to be friends with, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not forced on you.
That's it. It can be very tricky to both get a break and grow together at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's something we think the camp will be able to do.
Well, I tell you, sometimes, I'll just be honest. Sometimes, being a single guy, and I'll do whatever for my son. But sometimes you think to yourself, geez, I wouldn't mind a fucking day off. But there is no day off, right?
That's right.
It just is what it is.
So, it's interesting you say that, because Nicole and I dealing with the diabetes type 1 as well. My son can only be at school if there's a nurse there with him. There's no possibility of busing school transportation, because he would need to have a nurse from the school from the house to the school and back again. And I think we're coming up on our 5th year without a date night.
Right. Right.
And that's because somebody has always got it. You know how it goes. But as autism parents, you roll with the punches, and we've learned to roll with them pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my ex-wife would when we split up, and he was getting older, and a friend of mine's wife was a counselor. She goes, you should see if Matthew maybe is on the spectrum. I'm like, no, he's fine. And then I started noticing, watching him more. I was like, sure he is. Absolutely. Because some food he won't eat because of the texture. When he finds something he likes for clothes, he wears that until it falls apart, and then he gets his next thing. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And at first I tried to argue about it, but there's no sense arguing. I'll tell him there's 14 other of the same things in your closet. Go grab the second pair. No, that's not going.
Very important to pick your fights, as they say.
Well, then it dawned on me it's very important not to even fight with him at all. Well, but why put him in a bad mood? Why cloud his day up for what?
Right. Yeah.
It's not one of those things that you're going to. It's not a victory.
That's it. Yeah. It's funny. One of my biggest contentions with my son is water play. He absolutely, our kiddos love water, most 90% of them, right? And he's typical, loves the water to the point he gets in the bath, and if there's not water dripping from the ceiling, then Paul Jr. has not had a bath. And I'll hear the water hitting the wall and bouncing off the ceiling, and especially if I'm doing something else at the same time. And I can just feel my stress levels going up, right? Paul Jr. And then all of a sudden, all he needs to hear is that spike of energy in my voice, and then his goes, and then Mom knows. Mom comes running. Never mind, I got this.
Now, for everyone watching, Steve asked, so I thought I'd throw it up there while we're talking, Paul. This is the website. This is ASD United, the Ride for Autism. This is the YouTube channel. Sorry,
YouTube channel. Yes.
This is the YouTube channel, and then I gotta go back and find the website.
So there's a bit of a compilation here, if you will. We're just, we're getting to that point. Year 1, we really didn't have anybody running around with the phone to make sure we got the pictures we wanted or the video we wanted.
Right.
Year 2, we got a little bit better, and we're getting there as we go. And, we said every now and then we grab some footage and try to throw something together for people to have a look at, especially, this year I did an introduction to how the scavenger hunts work, and people really appreciated that. Those that were interested in the rides for autism, but didn't quite understand the scavenger hunt.
I like that, that off-road one that you were saying there around Halloween there, the jack-o'-lantern and all that.
It is incredibly popular. It's our most popular of the rides for autism, and it's right around Halloween. So everything is Halloween themed. Everything you're looking for on the trails during your scavenger hunt is Halloween themed. The participants get extra points for dressing up, and they get extra points for decorating their machines. So
Yeah.
it's just, one guy this year had the back of his side by side set up so it looked like bars, the back of a police truck with a guy trying to get out.
Oh man, that's pretty wild, eh?
It was cool. Yeah.
I would run the video, but I think that we're gonna get blasted by the audio from it. I have
Yeah.
that feeling.
Got it.
Now I like this with the side by sides because everyone can bring their kids along too.
That's it. Yeah.
And your programming stuff will also go into adulthood. I take it, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we have no restriction on our for age whatsoever, and we completely recognize that the spectrum has no idea of age whatsoever either.
Well, I kind of got it in my head. It might be harder as an adult
Absolutely.
because then who do you have? Who do you have to advocate for you?
Well, it's one of the saddest things and most common things that Nicole and I are asked when parents get closer and closer to us in the group is if the camp later on would possibly have permanent housing available for some of these individuals. And although we'd love to say yes, we're not sure what that looks like.
Right? And I don't know if anyone knows what that looks like.
Well,
Is it a thing yet?
the idea with the property, pardon me, and I've owned that property since I was a teenager, and there's another story behind that. But the idea behind the property, even that's where we're developing the National Autism Camp. At the very back of the camp is where Paul will live, Paul Jr. And everybody has motives, and here, and I'm very clear. We have some high end sponsors when it comes to the camp, when it comes to supplies for building, different construction companies and suppliers and stuff like that. And I've been up front with every one of them saying, listen, my number one objective here was to have a place where Paul Jr. can be an adult, be safe, and know that nobody's ever going to be able to kick him out. And that'll be at the back side of this camp. And the camp will run as under a foundation.
Yeah.
And and when people hear that, then that's of course where these questions stem from other parents going, well, is there any chance maybe you'd have permanent residence for my Tommy as well?
Right.
So
right.
tough questions to ask. These are hurdles we'll overcome. I mean, we know that we say they're hurdles to overcome, and it seems like that to us because we're not there yet with our youngster, but we recognize that some are. But I think hurdles to overcome as we're able to overcome them.
Well, that's good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think every family as a family ends up dealing with having an autistic member of their family, and it doesn't take over because, like, where my cousin David is, he's got a sister, and she's often done her college and all that stuff, but she also has said, and I got a daughter, she's 4 years older than my son, and she's already said, well, when you're gone, I'm going to look after Matthew. So she's already got it in her head that that's what she's going to do.
Right.
And it's hard to say, no, you're not, because you've got your own life to live.
Yeah.
All I can say is thank you, right?
That's it. And cherish that. There's some, and we're in that predicament where Nicole's lost her family now. They've all passed on. Myself, I'm an adoptee. So there's, everything Nicole and I have built to date and we've created for us, we've done on our own. That's okay.
Zero. Yeah, absolutely.
We're very proud of that. But on the far into that, we also realize that, boy, we need to create a support system called Junior. It's not just going to fall into place,
Right. Steve's got a question. Do we have long-term care facilities in Canada for adults with autism? We do, yeah. It's kind of like one of those hospitals, though, isn't it?
Well, it depends on again on the level of need. There's
Right.
a number of adult group homes. You know, we
Yeah.
even members of our group come from some of the local group homes. So yeah, it depends on the level of need, but absolutely, there's support for adults out there.
Yeah, like if Matt didn't have his sister, he could get away with a group home and someone to bring him a meal,
Right.
right? And he can cook a few things on his own as well. I've been teaching him and all that.
Nice. Yeah.
But in the meantime, I feel like my job now is to make sure they got a house. You know what I mean? And then so mortgage is insured, the house is theirs, and if she'll take care of her brother, God bless her.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I got her. She got a job. I didn't get her. She did it. She did it herself. She got a job at Club Med and Turks Caicos, and she's 24 and she's single. And I said, go, 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 go. And then she just messaged me the other day that the offer at her next job will be on a cruise ship that stops in Portugal, Spain, and France.
Oh, cool.
So I said, go, go, go. I
Why
said,
not?
this is the time of your life to see the world. So no matter what life brings down the road at you, you've done it. You've done something. You've been somewhere. You've seen something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely right. Yeah. You live life a little bit.
Yeah, it's important to see the other parts of the world. Man, when I went to Europe, I was like going back in the History Channel. It was
Yeah. Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Can feel like a different world.
Well, look at that's the off-road event, eh? This photo on the website I got up.
That's right. Yeah. So that looks like the 2023 off-road ride by the looks of it.
You guys get good participation. It's nice up there in your guys' area. Just cold in the winter, eh? Don't
Oh,
you, Mark?
it's bitter cold out here, and you know what? It's we had an entire year of mishaps, if you will. I mean, these events are, as you can see, they're all based on success with weather.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we literally had one year where our flotilla was a rain out, followed by the off-road ride was a mix of rain, snow, and we had very few participants. And then all of a sudden, that was what? Yeah, that was 2 seasons ago. We had that crazy mild winter, and then we
Yeah,
had absolutely no snow for the snowmobile ride. We ended up that building that you see in the picture there. That's Place 1967 in Plantagenet, Ontario. And I think about a dozen of us sat in that restaurant and played bingo for the kids to raise money for the kids instead of going snowmobiling. So it's a roll of the dice, and to see the success of events like what we're seeing in that picture there, it's heartwarming, that's for sure.
yeah. It looks like a great turnout. And I was just gonna say that about the winter, except for a couple winters ago. You you guys actually still get snow in the winter. See, down here in southern Ontario, we don't get enough snow. Everyone sold their snow machines.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're getting to that point here as well. Last year it was I think we only had 3 weeks where the trails were open.
Thanks, Carney. How are you, bro? Look at these guys rubbing our nose. Well, no, it's about the same temperature where Warland is. He said it's 9 degrees. We were about 9 most of the day today. I think he said he was in Michigan though. So we got lucky. We got a lot of our friends from the American Biker News chats that I made friends with,
Neato.
and they all came to watch this show. So that's cool. We got some
That is
eyes on
cool.
us.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's super cool.
Now, did you get some people on your side? I guess maybe you don't really have a side, do you?
How do you mean?
Um, who help you organize, or is it you and your wife do all the organizing?
We pretty much, I mean, we have volunteers in our group, and we have our board, of course. And then we have a handful of volunteers. We have our usual culprits, as we call them. We have about the typical 6 people that come with us to almost every event, rain or shine. And yeah, we've got a little bit of support. But I mean, this is Nicole and I live and breathe this now. You know,
Yeah,
it kind of becomes a part of life, and we feel like we're heading in the right direction. Every now and then we put on the reins if we're putting too much time or energy, or it's every now and then you need to redirect back to the family. And
Yes.
we're we completely acknowledge the fact that we'll have to hand over the reins to this one day. We're not always going to be able to do it. One day we're going to have to hand it over. It might not necessarily be to Paul Jr. It may be to somebody else. So
I was gonna say you look roughly. You can't be much. You gotta be about the same age you and I. I'm in my late 50s, but
yeah,
you can't keep doing the same thing forever. I know what you're saying.
that's it. You're going to plan long term. I'm just coming up to my 50s, but at the same time, I realize you watch that clock go a little faster every year. And I think when you're a parent of a special needs child, you watch that clock a little closer.
Well, see, I hate to keep going back to my aunt and uncle, but to me, they're true heroes, right? They both stopped what they were doing to stay home and take care of David. I can't even fathom making that life choice, and they did it, right?
Yeah.
And like 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 uh like my Uncle John said, he said, "What else was I gonna do?"
Well, I walked away when Nicole and I walked away from Eastern Ontario. I mean, first of all, I walked away from Restoration Garage after season 1.
Oh, you were on that show, eh? Do you
Pardon
guys
me?
do you guys in the States get a show down there called
Oh,
Restoration Garage?
oh, they get it. I'm not sure if it's playing right. I think it's playing in Australia and Europe right now, if I remember right. They'll get it on.
Get on some cable channel, I would
They'll get it on
imagine,
History.
eh?
They'll probably get it on History Channel, yeah. But I mean,
So
we flipped a switch. I mean, when they were filming that show, they wanted to film when they heard Paul Jr. was being diagnosed with autism. All of a sudden, the cameras, oh, we're going to get this, and we went, no. This is a show about cars. This is not a show about family and heartbreak, and So that was our first kind of vindication. And then
you were the tall guy in the show, yeah?
that's right, yeah.
Okay.
So as we're filming that, I was also becoming friends. By this time, I was doing my third year show with a gentleman by the name of George Barris. And
You guys in Barris Auctions?
if anybody's familiar with, Barris Auctions and the Batmobile and whatnot. So I become kind of chum with the Barris family. And in just coming up on the second year of filming Restoration Garage, George pulled me aside, and Paul Jr. was diagnosed at this point. He was in love with Paul Jr. I think there's maybe a video there somewhere, him running around in a golf cart with Paul Jr. But he says, guys, don't let them kill your life. Don't let them wreck your marriage. Don't let them wreck your family. Don't let them, And he went through this list. And there was a certain turning point just before, 2015, 2016, when Nicole and I just flipped the switch and went, this isn't important to us anymore.
Right.
Point. If I go to a car show, people will say, hey, you guys are the ones from, or, oh, Paul, I recognize you. That does happen if I go to a car show. But I'm so proud of the fact that I can go anywhere in Eastern Ontario here and people go, hey, you guys are the ones from the Rides for Autism.
Thanks, Ernie. Right. So it switched from the car show to that.
Absolutely.
Were you? Well, I guess he built that Bugatti for a few seasons, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
So you're around for the Bugatti?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then didn't he take a bunch of guys to an auction?
What's that?
Didn't he take a bunch of the guys from the shop to an auction and sell a bunch of those cars one season? Or were you gone by then?
Yeah, we did that. There was one where I go to auction. I go to auction with him. What did I buy? I bought a Porsche and a Fiat, I think. Actually, I bought a motorcycle at the same time as well.
Do you ride?
Hey?
Do you ride?
Oh, geez, yeah. Yeah, we haven't brought that up yet.
No, yeah, exactly.
All right. So wait. Here, I'll look down. Yeah, I've definitely broken most of those toes. That ankle once, that ankle 3 times, this leg once, arm, yep, wrist, yep, thumb, yep. Shoulder, yeah, definitely.
I hope this all happened on the trails.
So I'm on the spectrum as well.
Okay.
And one of the things for me is pain. I just don't feel pain. And to the point long story short, when I was a youngster, my parents took me into emergency going, well, we think his ankle is broken. They went, well, it can't be. He's walking on it. It's just sprained. So we had to go back 3 days later when it was now the size of a soccer ball because it was in fact broken and I was just walking on it. So, but yeah, so I started out a little 50cc, Honda 50cc. I'll be honest with you, I don't ride right now. The only motorcycle in our life right
That's
now is a CBR 600. It's painted in pink and it has the same tattoo that's right. Well, how I'd have
this
to come.
way.
There we go. So I got tattoo here,
Yeah.
and that's Nicole and I's rings, our wedding rings.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was her bike that I bought for an anniversary years back. And that was after I actually bought the green Kawasaki that's on the first season of Restoration Garage there. And there's a young lad on the show that him and I would ride into work every day. So Nicole's got an amazing ear for engine. You think it would be me? She'll tell you who's coming and how far they are away by the sound of her engine. And she tells me one day Alex is coming, so fire up my bike, get ready to meet him on the road, and into the show we're going. And when you ride with the same guy every day, especially on sport bikes, you tend to push each other just a little bit. And we're both seeking that adrenaline, which was a problem. You know, that's fire and air mixed, fuel and air. So you just need that flame. So we kept pushing each other every day. And long story short, one day I kind of pushed myself a bit too far, scared myself, and called my wife that day. And I said, "Well, this bike's gone. It's gone tonight. I'm selling it." And sure enough, I got a hold of somebody. It was gone by 7 o'clock that night. I realized that killing myself was not the best of things for my family. Now, I will say this: my next bike, I will get another bike. I'll get myself a retire. I'm going to go into the Honda Goldwing, 100%.
Yeah. And me, I'm a Harley rider. I'm an ex-club member, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I was, I retired over 20 years ago now. So I was in one of the big worldwide clubs, right?
Okay.
And did what I did, ended up, as most bikers do, in jail for a short period. Not much, but, they rounded the budgets up, and so I retired at that point. And so I'm a Harley guy, right? I've never owned anything except for a Harley. Very first bike I jumped onto was a 1340, and I went with the guys in the club, right?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
See, for me, I grew up with the Goldwings. When I had the 50cc, I had the memories of the old man putting my bike and his dirt bike on a trailer, attaching it to the Goldwing, and we'd go off somewhere to go riding, right?
Nice.
I still remember, actually, it was about 12 or 13 was the first time one too many. He said, "Boy, do you think you can handle it?" And it was the first time he was my passenger coming home. Yeah.
I had a friend in Toronto. I used to do that. He had one of those V rods, and he'd call me on Friday at 3 in the afternoon. "Bro, you got to come to Oakville and ride my bike home for me." Be right there. Anything you get on a V rod anyway, on the QEW where you can play around a little bit, right?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I remember as a youngster, my father getting honked at because I would get the Hondas are quiet, right? If you're sitting on the back, you're sitting on a cushion, you're not hearing anything but the music. And literally, I'd be knocked out, falling asleep. And every now I wake up to the horn of somebody yelling at my dad, going, "Your kid's going to fall off the bike." He goes, "No, I haven't fallen off in 3 years. He's not falling off today."
I couldn't believe that when I first started riding with the one guy from the club that took me under his wing. There's one guy that kind of brings you up, right?
Yeah.
And his son was 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the time, and he'd fall asleep on the back too. And I'd be, "Hey man, you're kidding?" He's like, "Yeah, he just because the seat curves around. You're not going anywhere."
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You know when to pay attention,
Well, yeah, if you're gonna hang a hard left, you know.
That's it. My old man wanted to start me early, and one of the first things he did when he put me on that 50cc, and I still remember it to this day, went to a little mud hole, and he's standing about 10 feet off in front of me, so I'd have to ride past him. And just as I kind of was starting to pick my feet up and get some speed out, centrifugal clutch, right? No clutch. Just as I'm getting that speed up and starting to pick my feet up, I see the foot come out, and I don't realize what he's about to do. And sure enough, doesn't he kick that seat? Away I go over in the mud. Right? He laugh and giggle a little bit, and I'm looking at him. I probably the look on whether I should cry or laugh, And come on, boy, get up out of the mud, pick that bike up and keep going, One of those first lessons.
He was one of those throw you in the pool kind of guys.
That's it. Well, it paid off, years later. What was I must have been 15 or so. And we tagged the back end of a doe trying to cross the highway in front of us on a Goldwing. So, experience of riding is one thing, experience of falling is another. And if you have it, it sometimes pays off in the next time.
See, that's one thing I've never hit. I've never hit a big animal on a motorcycle, but that's a touch wood kind of thing because you never know when you're gonna get a deer anywhere in Ontario.
Yeah, no doubt. We were lucky just to tag the back end of it. I think the spookiest part was looking at the headlights coming at us because we end up in the opposite lane looking at oncoming traffic. I remember the old man's just ahead of me. I remember watching him kind of go off towards the ditch, and then the car coming at us, hitting the bike again. The bike's already down, but going into oncoming traffic, and another car tagged it. Yeah, it all happens in slow motion.
Yeah, it's weird. See, for a while there, my kids lived with my ex in Sault Ste. Marie, and I lived in Toronto. So every 2 weeks, I bought a Ford Explorer, right? And every 2 weeks, I get on that highway, and that way I go. It was my weekend with the kids, and I was going. So, yeah, one time, it's always a moose at 3 in the morning, eh? It's like, what are you doing?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Thankfully, it was around Sudbury where it opens up in 2 lanes each direction, and there was a guy right behind me with a car trailer with a pickup truck on the car trailer, toying with another pickup truck, and I went around him one way, and he went around him the other way, and we fell right back in line and kept going.
Wow.
We didn't even, no sense saw him.
Right. Yeah, right.
Now,
and now for these rides, these two motorcycle rides for autism, you'll see Paul Jr. on a Spider. It just makes more sense for controlling him.
Oh, do you get on it?
What's that?
He likes it?
Oh, yeah. He absolutely. Oh, yeah. He loves it. He wants to move around too much, and that he can handle on the Sea-Doo or the ATV or even the snowmobile. Even the snowmobile, as long as it's not going too fast. But you know how it is when you're on a bike. All of a sudden, now at 160 pounds,
yeah,
it's okay when you're 40, 50 pounds, but 160 pounds does right behind you on a bike, man.
Especially on a dirt bike, because you're a little more skinnier, right?
That's it.
It's not like a street bike.
Yeah. Well, this year, actually going up to the motorcycle show in Ottawa, I had Paul Jr. on the back of the Spider until we got to the old Highway 17. Even my wife gave me a double honk. She's following in the truck, right? Moving around too much. I went, buddy, no, not for this highway. I'm going to be doing 90.
Right.
No, not doing it. So kind of out you go. You can get back on. We get off the highway again, and we're doing 50.
Yeah. Now, how many people do you guys get out on the snowmobile event? Is it big too?
That'll depend on the weather, of course. I think the most we've seen is about 50 to 60 machines for the snowmobile ride.
That ain't bad.
It's not bad at all. Yeah. It's pretty popular. We just need that, the snowmobile ride's almost the hardest for weather because you need both the weather and the trail conditions. You could have the beautiful weather where people want to ride, but the trails are all closed.
A wild turkey. These guys, when I was talking about the moose, yeah, man, the back of that moose is taller than the roof of a car generally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once you get those guys up and out of the water, they're monsters.
Yeah.
It was a fun ride. And man, I took those kids up and down that highway so many times, man. They knew every little small town, Espanola and Blind River and wherever. Right. Yeah. It was a good time. My dad always had snowmobiles, but like I say, I saw a bunch of guys I knew down this way buying those big snowmobiles. Unbelievable. Like these things are $12,000 snowmobiles.
What? Bob, yeah. Come on. No, wait. I have to correct you. I'm sorry. With all due respect. So you're more like $20,000 to $30,000 snowmobiles.
With a big long track on it?
I'm telling you. So our sponsor, one of our main sponsors, again, Maximum Power Sports. We're very lucky. I can walk into a power sports dealership that has the newest of the new and the best of the best and go, I need one of these for one of the rides. And the owner will go, there you go. Do you need a trailer? So they're so amazing with us. So last year's snowmobile ride, they gave me a what's called a 900 Ace Turbo. And if there's anybody here that it's in is a sledder as well in the sled life, so this is a 900 cc with a turbo, And
Yeah.
you're, you know, from my experience with cars, you know, I've driven some, you know, high-end Lotus, Ferrari, Lambo. I've got them on my list of driven vehicles. But when you pin one of these things and it stands up on you like this,
That's
and
what I
you're
was
doing
saying.
almost 200,
Wow.
like, oh, unbelievably
See the
fast.
videos of those things all over YouTube climbing up the hills and all that?
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
look pretty cool, eh?
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. Yeah.
What were they all buying? They were the high end ones. But yeah, they all had the big crazy suspension on it.
That's it. Race suspension, long track. We're plugging our helmets in. Our seats are warm. Our handlebars are warm.
Yeah.
Paul Jr.'s got a set of bars, almost like the Goldwing, where he's just nice and
Oh,
comfortable. Oh
that's
yeah.
cool.
Audio system, like stupid, absolutely stupid.
That's amazing. Thank you, honey. Thanks. How do you get another drink? So after the camp's done being built, now did you guys with the money that's collected, you guys also like if a family comes to you and something came up or they need to take a run for whatever in another city, did you try to help out individuals too like that?
We do in very special circumstances. We've learned to redirect people to other resources when it comes to direct handouts like that. I mean, when you have a group a group this big, you get to know your individuals, if you will. You can identify who's more needy, if you will, in that
Mm-hmm.
group. But what we learned very quickly is if you almost advertise that you're ready to give, the unfortunate truth of humanity comes out, and you have those
Mm-hmm.
people that will just take from you every time.
Right.
So we learned to put a limit on that very quickly. It's just like, you know, Nicole and I recently made a move. We recently bought another home in the Hawkesbury area. And one thing we haven't really done is shared our address as much.
Oh.
And, you know, and it seems unfortunate, but it's a protection barrier for Paul Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have somebody knocking at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, this is the time I need help.
Yeah.
There are helplines for that. I do have a phone call, you know, I have a phone myself, call ahead of time, or, you know, so we had to learn, like anything else in life, you had to learn to set some boundaries.
Yeah, Mike, you're right. Yeah, that's what Mike said. You give people an inch and they run rampant with it.
That's it.
100%. 100%.
I must have
Yeah.
I must have 30 to 40 kids that call me uncle. And I absolutely
Oh,
and I
that's really
absolutely
cool.
I love it. It fills my heart, bro. It
Yeah.
really does. You know, and the one thing every now and then a kid will come around and go, hey, Paul Senior, can I call you dad? And I'm like, well, that's where we need to draw the line. You know, like, no. My
Wow.
Paul Jr. here is now, this is when he's going to become really, you know, now he's really going to understand that he's sharing his dad, and, you know, but he needs to understand that I draw that line for him as well.
Yeah, I got that, Mike. Yeah, no, exactly. And it's funny because I guess a popular misconception might be about a nonverbal people is that you probably have it in your head that they don't understand either.
That, you know what, if anybody's going to break down walls or misunderstandings about autism, that is number one. You hit that right on the head with a hammer. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'll give you an example. And my son does something right now. It's called spelling to communicate. It's a type of therapy. So we have somebody else come into the house, and sometimes it's important to separate if a family is able to therapist from family. If you try to be therapist and family, you get to a point there's too much aggression. But we have somebody that comes in and does spelling to communicate. And what this lady will do is she'll take out any book, for example, Star Wars, and she'll pick a couple paragraphs to read to my son. What was most interesting to us is my son is a flapper. He needs to have something to flap.
It was
And
things of motion.
he's not going to sit still, bouncing, doing this, doing that. And the first couple of times with Paul Jr., sit down, Paul Jr., sit down, Paul Jr., you need to listen. She finally said, just let him do what he wants. He's listening. Trust me. So Mom and I kind of took a back step, went out of the room, and she read him 2 paragraphs. She sat him down, and spelling to communicate includes, I thought the boards might be right here, actually. They include, you remember those plastic etching or tracing boards that we had back in the day for tracing letters onto paper?
Yeah, yeah.
They're just like that, except the kids hold a pencil and they point to each letter.
Okay.
So she'll read him 2 paragraphs of something in Star Wars, and then she'll come back and say, Paul Jr., can you tell me who Luke's father was? And he will have to write, Luke's father is Darth Vader. And the first time that he went to L and then went to U and went to the K, and Nicole and I are looking at each other. Now, at first, it's slightly prompted. So the therapist is having to help with the fine motor, and you being as a dad, you totally get that.
Yeah.
If you're an outsider that has nothing to do with this, you're like, oh, that kid's being directed everywhere. Well, after a year of doing this, and this kid is spelling Madagascar.
No way.
And we're going, buddy, I can't spell Madagascar.
No, me either.
And then all of a sudden she's throwing math questions, and he's going, 2 times 50 equals 100. And I'm like,
oh man, blessing, eh?
So prime example of the amount of sensory input that's understood that most of us perceive as misunderstood.
Right.
Absolutely crazy. If we show his teachers at school this, it blows their mind. They go, oh my God, we're dumbing him down.
Yeah. And see, my son, they tried to mainline him, and they wouldn't get him tested for me. And I asked over, by the time I took custody and stuff, he was in grade 7, and they had jammed him through. I'm like, you can't jam him through.
Right.
You can't throw him into the wolves den of high school. You just can't. I won't let you. You know?
And that's a tough transition. When you're going to high school, that's a real tough transition for some of our kiddos.
Yeah, man, that's what I mean. So I spent the whole year he was in grade 8, and then about a year, I think about May, so school was almost over. I finally found the first psychiatrist said, no, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just slow. I'm like, come on. And then it took a whole nother year to get another appointment, another referral. We walked into this guy's place. He talked to us for 5 minutes, and he looked at me and he said, well, I got something to tell you. I said, my son's autistic. He goes, absolutely. And then my son was relieved because it explained everything to him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's better to know than to deny.
That's right. It's funny. Some of our training, when we talk about training first responders, we actually had our local health unit, HGH, so Hawkesbury Mental Health, reach out to us, and they wanted to come. They wanted to do our training program as well. So we ran them through it. And then after our different experiences at CHIO in the last 2 years, we've actually had CHIO implement PECs for the kids as well. So they get an idea in visual what's about to happen. First, I'm going to see the nurse. They're going to be triaged. I might get a needle.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dress in this gown. I'm going to, and it gives them a bit of a visual story, and that helps you relax. I mean, you and I know for me, I need to know what I'm doing in the day. I can,
sure.
I couldn't imagine getting out of bed and just having to look at somebody and go, okay, what next?
Right.
Right. So, having that schedule helps relieve a lot of anxiety, we find.
Yeah, and like you say, anxiety is one of those byproducts, and yeah, it can come on pretty strong sometimes, and all that stuff, right?
That's it.
Wow. Orland was in his 50s before he was diagnosed. His high functioning and not slow. Yeah, that's what they said my son was. So Orland, they said, oh, he'll catch up. Right. I said, no, there's no such thing as catching up. And to make it worse, my ex-wife was from Montreal, and we put him in French immersion school at the start. Can you imagine?
Oh boy, yeah. unless they're used to that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, talk about confusing, right?
Well, yeah, because I don't speak French, so we didn't speak French around the house. All the TVs and everything was on English. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest. That's one of the things the hardest things I find with Eastern Ontario here. It's definitely a bilingual community, if you will. And
thank you, Jeff. Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, well, see, you guys are pretty much guaranteed to be bilingual just from your geography,
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
right?
Well, I'm lucky. You know what? The kids have been teaching me. Thanks to our autism group through our social activities and calling out bingo. I've learned how to do all my numbers in French. It's absolutely beautiful, and I have our autism group to thank for that. So if any of you do tune into this or
Me
watch
too.
this, thank you so much for teaching me French. You know, and
Yeah,
it's
man.
and it's funny when we're in the community. You know that every now and then there's somebody that, oh, you don't speak French, and I'll actually flip to, well, what if I didn't speak at all? And that usually kind of shuts down any argument.
Yeah, that's a good, cool response. I never thought of that before.
You know what? I'm going to zip my lips and take out a binder. We're going to draw pictures from here on out.
Well,
You know what? What's interesting about that, Nicole and I, sometimes when we're teaching the first responders, that's exactly how we start our program. People would expect when they're sitting down for training to be presented with a video,
mm-hmm.
diagram, something to read. Not at all. We actually take out a piece of paper. We communicate them by drawing pictures for them and then ask them to respond without using their words. And what it
Oh,
does is
that's really cool.
it really sets the tone for that training, because all of a sudden it's a complete understanding of what happens when you can't use your words. You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty
Right.
much
And
a
what
lot.
does happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, every now and then you got your big macho police officers that you're training, right? And all of a sudden, and they got that, and then all of a sudden, just that switch of face, and you're like, oh, and a decompression when they
right.
realize, you know,
Right. Let it go. Your steroids won't help every problem.
one step at a time.
No, I can't believe. I'm actually really glad that I reached out and asked you to come on the show. I didn't realize how much different stuff you did and all that. And like you say, Hawkesbury is it seems to be just from what I've caught on a couple. There's an Ottawa motorcycles group on Facebook, and um and there's a couple rides. Or there's one ride that goes every week out of Hawkesbury. There's a weekly motorcycle ride.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We have our own group here. They're definitely going to be participating in this year's ride as well.
I
So
think he calls himself Cowboy. Do you know that guy?
yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with the number of groups reaching out, what we're hoping to maybe see is, you know, we want to have shotgun starts from different areas. So not everybody feels like they need to come to one area just to do the ride. But what we really want to promote is that camaraderie, of course. But we really want to pump up that competition between groups for points. You know,
Oh, that's cool. So you can put a little group of 3 or 4 together and compete
that's
with
it.
each other. That's cool. And then
Exactly.
it's a friendly competition, and
That's it.
it helps everything go. That's a
Exactly
very
right.
good idea.
Yeah.
Are you think you're going to try to get out of your area or stay where you're at?
We'll probably bring it close to home.
Mm-hmm.
So the final destination will be somewhere close here. But like I said, we'll do shotgun start from wherever. And you know, if we're hosting on a Saturday afternoon, somebody wants to ride, you know, let's say Friday night into Saturday, and then ride home Sunday. You know, we had last year we had 2 guys come up from New York, so they came up from New York into Montreal, stayed in
Decent guys.
Montreal, and then met for the ride and came up for the ride on the Saturday.
Oh, they come up from the States even.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's really cool, eh?
Yeah, it was super cool to see. Yeah.
No, I meant like, are you ever thinking down in the future, uh, branching
Well,
out to other
expanding,
cities?
yeah, absolutely. You know what? Actually, we've been talking with the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs about doing it with the snowmobile ride first.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why there's so many, the Ontario Federation of Clubs is made up of micro clubs, if you were. I think it's 16 different clubs throughout Ontario that make up the foundation. And what they're talking about doing is doing a combined scavenger hunt or somehow of you know, like a pass the torch or something like that. And that way we end up doing a ride all the way around Ontario on the trails.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
There was another fundraiser ride that did that this summer, and I didn't catch all that much info, but that's what they do. They
Okay.
started in Newfoundland,
Yeah.
and then they do kind of like you said, kind of pass the torch, and then
Okay.
they take it to the next organizers, and then they run their leg of it, and it was a cross country thing. I think it
Oh, that's
was
cool.
what was it
Interesting.
for? I can't remember what it was for now. It might have been another autism thing, to be
Is that
honest
right,
with you.
eh? Interesting.
I think so. Yeah, that's kind of a cool concept, eh?
Yeah, just to try something different, but we'll see. I mean, trial and error, right?
Well, that's it. You don't know until you try,
That's it.
and you can't change until you try something new.
Exactly right.
So those are the two things, right?
You know, one thing Nicole and I say to our participants, you know, we do our conclusion events and all that, and we always say to them, if you guys have any suggestions for us,
Right,
please come on up, you know. And
right,
it's
right.
over the years, some people come up, yeah, you need to alter your scavenger hunt this way because, or that way because of this. And we've listened, we've altered it, and you know what? We've seen great success because of that input. So
Perfect. That's what you asked for.
it takes a community.
Exactly. Yeah, it always does. Yeah. Now, yeah. See, my son, because of his age, now he's on ODSP, of course, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully, or maybe not, but no, thankfully he's with me. So whatever they give him, he's going to get by on. But I do see that there's other. There was an autism group in London that was, again, I think just asked him if you wanted, if you had any dietary needs or something that was going to run you extra, they'd help you out. But I don't think other than that, there's not a whole bunch of
No,
government help, is there?
not really. Like you said, it's welfare, it's ODSP, and in case of more serious health conditions, maybe there's further support. But I mean, for autism, you have the OAP, the Ontario Autism Program.
Oh, geez,
Uh,
I applied for that 6 years ago, never heard a word.
is that right, eh? So the red tape and that they put on these type of things for parents to have to get through. If you don't have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, forget it. Application denied, if even answered whatsoever, like you're saying.
Yeah, I think I applied and then Doug Ford got voted in, and I don't know if he killed that program or not.
Right.
There's supposed to be it was a provincial one, and they said sign it up or fill it out and they'll send you $5,000. And I was like, well, I can always use $5,000, but then I'm thinking, well, what's it for?
Right. Yeah.
So I approach it where if I don't need anything, then I don't want to take money that could go to somebody that does need something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Right.
maybe there's
Yeah.
mobility issues or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's always that. Sometimes you see people talk about the greener grass, but you know what? When you're in circumstances like this, you always realize there's somebody that has it worse, right?
Right.
Yeah, especially if you're somebody like us that's visiting CHIO or sick kids, something like that, very often. People sometimes say to Nicole and I don't know how you do it with the autism and the diabetes, and we go, and then all of a sudden we're at the hospital and we see 10 times worse.
Right. Exactly.
So that's you roll with the punches, you do the best you can. If you're handling it a bit better than others, which you try to help others handle what they can.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you can do. I'm always asking him if he wants to try a job, and he
Right.
doesn't at this point, so that's fine too.
All right.
You know
Well, yeah,
what I mean?
it's funny you bring that up. I don't want to run you too long, Bob, but
No,
it's funny.
no.
Something I completely missed. Our group also runs a small mini putt location in Hawkesbury, Ontario. So, long story short, about 2 years ago, we took our group for ice cream at a local Dairy Queen in Hawkesbury, and one of the girls kind of tugs at the shoulder and goes, "Hey, Uncle Paul, can we open that?" And it was this mini putt location that hadn't been open for 6 years, so overgrown and decrepit. And I went, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Who would have thought of this, right? So I went and spoke to the owner. Well, didn't I end up renting the darn place? I restored it. And so we run what's called Mini Putt Hawkesbury under ASD United. We run it as a not for profit. So all the profits go back to our group. And what it does, it gives our group an activity to do whenever they want. I mean, we say once a week throughout the summer, but if any of our group members show up, they just come in and putt for free with all their families and friends. But we're able
Nice.
to do organized events as well. We're able to invite other youth groups or
Mm-hmm.
organizations, whether it's adult groups, seniors groups, other special needs groups. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And then what we did for each, I have 18 holes. And what I decided to do for each of the holes is I reached out to my sponsors and said, listen, if you're a gold level, I had to create levels of sponsorship just because of this. And the rides were growing anyway, and it was really starting to force me to do that. And so we said gold level sponsors and above, we're going to give you a hole on the course. So, for example, Group Go Day is a Rona company that owns a bunch of Rona building supply stores in Ontario here. And on hole number 15, you're actually putting under an exact replica of their store.
Nice.
So you're literally putting underneath the store.
Who built that?
You know, there's a tire company, Silmar Autoville, that also does marketing for us, built that website, that beautiful website that you're showing. On their hole, you're putting through one of their tires, a white wall tire that's been cut out, and it says Silmar Marketing. So the amount of scratchback we've been able to give to our sponsors because of that mini putt, they come to me. I'll see.
That's right there in your face.
Back when I was doing Restoration Garage, we saw some pretty heavy spikes in social media. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of those were still through paid advertising. So at some point, whether it was the guild, myself, or the production company paid to promote those to get those likes, it wasn't right. And I was seeing even this past summer, like 50,000, 60,000 engagements, absolutely generic from the mini putt. So our sponsors are looking at that going, winner, we want to be a part of that, to the point we picked up our first American or international sponsor, Mini Mall Storage, this year. And they took one of our posts that we did on Facebook through Hawkesbury Mini Putt, and it ended up going wild throughout social media throughout the United States, to the point I was getting calls from California and guys going, I'm trying to find, it says here you're in Ontario. I'm in Ontario. Whereabouts are you? I go, well, you're a bit ways off. You're going to have to go to the airport, fly up to Canada.
Oh, he thought the town of Ontario, that's in Cali.
Exactly right, yeah. So, yeah, it's something I totally forgot to mention was the mini putt. But, yeah.
Wow, eh? See,
and you know what brought me to that, actually, when you're talking about the kiddos working, something we've been able to do with the mini putt and we found success is taking some of our kids and putting them at the cash register and dealing with the public.
Yes.
So now they're learning to count the money. They're learning how to handle money properly. They're learning how to deal with the public. And they have somebody to support them through that learning experience that isn't a boss breathing down their back.
No, I did see those nice low key. Yeah. Some that they're already having fun. Probably their friends are there anyway.
Exactly right.
Wow, you guys have done great things. I saw a heartbreaking story in the news today that a bunch of families in Northern Ontario with special need kids are surrendering them to CAS. The high amount of people in Northern Ontario with special needs kids. No, not necessarily only autistic kids. That could be lots of things, special needs, right?
Yeah.
Mobility, all that sort of stuff. They're surrendering their kids to CAS because there's not enough anything for them in the northern communities, right?
Right, yeah.
Because you can imagine living up there in a town of 800 people, and you might be the only family for 3 towns.
That's right. That's right.
So they're not going to bring a bunch of equipment and services to you because you're the only one up there, right?
Right, yeah.
So I don't know what to suggest for stuff like that.
That's hard.
Me personally, I'd move. I'd move before I'd ever give up anything.
That's it.
Flesh and blood. No.
I mean, the right thing to do to be going and relocate some of those families, if willing. We're talking about location. But I mean, where we're at, the housing crisis is definitely a different show for you and I. But where we're at with housing right now, geez,
I'm doing a roundtable. I'm going to start doing a weekly on Tuesdays about Canadian politics and issues. The first one will be next Tuesday.
Okay.
I've got about 5 or 6 people lined up for it. I've even got a couple guys from the chat here from the States are going to come just because I spent a lot of time discussing American politics with them on the election that just passed. And, the guy I didn't want to win won, but whatever. Life goes on, right?
Right. Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yep.
And that's always been why I go against the conservative governments in Canada, because as soon as they start talking about balancing budgets and trimming, the first things that go out is stuff like for communities like this one.
Right.
Chop, chop, chop.
That's
And
right.
then all of a sudden there's nothing left. They give you a tax credit at the end of the year that you don't notice, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we're pretty heavily opinionated, but since starting the group and having the group, we have to stay pretty neutral. You never know who's in power next. Look at what Americans have just proven it. You
Right.
never know who's coming around the corner next, and if you've already stood on their feet years prior,
Yeah.
then they remember you, and all of a sudden, you have a bunch of people that are suffering consequences of yours that they're unaware of, just because
Right.
they like you, that you stepped on their toes a decade ago.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
like you're in the situation where neutrality is key, right?
You kind of get stuck in the middle there, and
Yeah. S&S said if we ever thought about a dog sled team, we don't get enough snow down this way anymore for dog sleds.
yeah, right.
But that Snowmobile Association, once you get to about Perry Sound and north, you got tons and tons of snowmobile associations up there.
Oh yeah.
Tons of them. I remember going to North Bay, and they were all parking their sleds on Lake Nipissing, and the bars are set up along the coast of Lake Nipissing.
Crazy,
you can't
eh?
even get to them by the cars.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool up there. I like that. It was a lot.
Yeah, the sled community is pretty big. These guys spend it just like our motorcycle community here. They're enthusiasts, man. They spend their money on their toys.
Yes. Unfortunately, I had to sell my toy because life wasn't being that kind to me as far as income and stuff. So, anyways, do what you gotta do. When you own a Harley, you always got 10 grand in your garage minimum. So now the work's starting to come again. So I would assume by next spring there'll be another Harley in the garage. It just is what it is, right?
It'll come back around, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Actually, this week I had a good week. I finally got talking to some, because I'm an HVAC and I own my own small business, right? So I do new home builds and retrofit furnaces and stuff like that, water heaters. Well, as soon as they raised the interest rate, the building in London, boom, stopped. It didn't stop, but when you could borrow money for free, the builder would build 10 houses on spec because he knew they would sell. Now he builds them when they're sold.
Got it.
So now only the big companies get the new home builds, and I'm sitting at home, right?
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Orland. I'm glad you guys joined in. Thank you to S&S. Yeah, these guys are saying thank you for your time and explaining.
Thanks for checking in, guys. Don't forget to check out the website at ridesforautism.ca, and hopefully we're going to see everybody at the second annual Motorcycle Ride for Autism by SD United. And if you happen to be a fanatic enthusiast of any other power sport, we got you covered on that as well.
I think that's really cool, the way you guys are doing all the different machines like that.
Well, it's funny. You think the first one I would have done would have been the classic car ride, right?
Right.
And everybody's been going, come on, man, seriously? Or when are you going to bring in the classic car? But I really, again, I didn't want to mix the two worlds too much. I really wanted to earn my spot in the autism community before trying to blend bring in my people from the car community and blend the two.
Are you still in the classic car community?
I can't help but to be with the show airs. To be honest with you, I still have a few customers that I'll give guidance to every now and then. But other than that, it's out of my blood, man. I play with my own cars, and that's about it.
My dad was an auto mechanic, so I've been a car guy my whole life. And just like every typical auto mechanic from the 60s, he was there'd always be something in the garage that was his car that was half tore apart and half put together. You know what I mean? He was more of a Ford guy. Last thing he built was a 67 or 8 Ford Comet drag racing car. Okay. So it's fiberglass body and steel tube frame and wheelie bars, and he passed him, and my brother got it. My brother bought it.
Working with the guild and doing the show really got all that out of my blood. I've done the quarter mile. I've built the 1,000 horsepower, 990 horsepower car.
Hmm.
I've been in the Ferraris and the Lambos. I'm sick of talking about Mustangs. I'm sick of Chargers. I'm sick of Camaros. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
I know there's a bunch of guys shaking their head going, Paul, don't say that. But you know what? If you've got any one of those cars and you're, hey, Paul, I want you to come see my 68 Camaro, my 67. I hate to say it, brother. I've already seen it. And
Right.
I haven't seen your car, but I've
Yeah.
already seen it.
Yeah.
And you know what? The part that really still intrigues me when it comes to automotive and always did was history, true history in cars.
When he did those old cars that he couldn't find parts for, I thought that was really cool.
When you're having to hand make parts from raw materials, in order to nail on authenticity to 100%, now you're starting to have fun, But
so S&S, the guy who asked about the dog sled team, and here's the reason why. He said, I have a nephew with autism, and he loves his sled team. It gives him a sense of being raised and racing them.
That's
Where's
cool.
your nephew at, S&S?
That's pretty cool.
I wonder if he's like, because these guys are American. Most guys on our chat are from America.
Okay.
I wonder if he's up in Alaska or something.
I'll check out ASD United, dude. I'd like to see some of those pictures of your son running the team. That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
These kids all have different strengths that a lot of us don't get to see. That sometimes they only really show them off when they're in private or in certain areas in their own time, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
But some of the strengths these kids have, boy.
Yeah. Well, like you say, like my son, he's just pure as gold, right? There's not a malicious thought ever enters him. He doesn't know how to lie. Like he couldn't look at me and tell me a lie. He doesn't know how to.
That's it, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes he's a little blunt with the truth, but sometimes I need to hear it.
That's the part I fall in love with the most. They're so honest,
Yes.
There's no bad hardness in there, especially the real youngsters. They haven't learned it yet, My little guy's ready to do prayers. What time are we hitting? Oh wow! My little guy's
it's 9:45. Yeah, shit, eh?
Yeah, my little guy's pushing to do prayers, but
pushing to be what?
Well, he wants to do his prayers, right? See, it's everything's schedule. And Daddy's running late to do the prayers at night. So he's like, hey, what the heck's going on here? I hear Dad talking, but he's not doing his prayers.
See, you got your 67 Camaro one.
There you go. Beautiful cars, man. Don't get me wrong. Beautiful.
Oh, they are beauties.
It's I still love them. I just I'm not as fascinated and drawn to them as I once was.
Kel asked me to ask Paul, where can we get puzzle piece sweatshirts?
Puzzle piece sweatshirts. So we don't have sweatshirts at the moment. They're about to come out next month. But if you visit any of the Rides for Autism, actually visit the website. And I'm going to double check and see if there's a link there. We do have shirts available right now. ASD United with the Rides for Autism logo. And our current version on the back says his fight is my fight. I'm going to double check when we get off this and see if we have that link. That website just literally got revamped in the last 2 weeks. We're so proud of it.
Okay.
It looks the way it did, but now it's more user-friendly and now mobile-friendly. Before, if you brought it up on your phone, it just looked horrible. So we're able to put more content and make it more user-friendly. You're going to see more on there in the next week or two. So if that link isn't there for the shirts, it will be soon. You can reach out to me, even reach out to Bob. Bob will direct you to me as well.
And if you want to, because I already did the description, I'm still learning how to do all this stuff. I got to do it in the start. If you want to put in the comments any of those links, please do, and I will as well, because I've already done the description, so now it's already on YouTube because we did live. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check. You'll find a few different ways. Yeah, you can find us there on YouTube, of course, through Facebook. We're on Instagram under ASD United as well. Or you can go through the website.
Thanks, Warland. So it's ASD United, brother.
That's right.
.ca, right?
.ca.
.ca for Canada.
So ASD United is the name of the group.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
It's www.ridesforautism.ca.
Oh, and the dog's like SNS. His nephew is in Alaska.
Oh, neato.
It's his nephew. Very cool, eh?
I hope they connect. I want to see those pictures. That's so cool.
Yeah, SNS, if you ever get a chance, you can fire me them photos, and I'll shoot them off to Paul, or shoot them. Can you put them right on the website, or send them to you that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a contact form on the website as well. You can reach me that way. Phone number there, email, 100%.
Thank you, Warland. I appreciate you asking about that. I really do.
That's cool.
All right. Wow, man. Well, we covered a whole lot more stuff than I thought we would.
I told you I'd keep you going. I probably keep you going longer, but the boy's knocking.
Yeah, no, I'll let you go, man. I thank you so much for your time, Paul. I really do, man.
I thank you.
It meant a lot to me, this interview.
So I tell you what, the ride date, I believe, is May 17th for the motorcycle ride. Maybe you and I should hook up and go live during that ride or near the conclusion or something like that. Right.
This summer, that's what I intend on doing, is coming out to these different events, because I've been talking about them. Yeah. I talked about the rides for autism way before I ever reached out to you. Yeah.
That's cool, brother. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for
helping us get the word out, and
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. With this channel, I'm trying to get the perception of the public, how they view bikers, to change. Instead of thinking that they're all a bunch of crazy people beating up people in bars.
Yeah, right.
To understand this is what real bikers do, and they'll help out the autistic community, or they'll raise money for a hospice, or whatever they do.
That's right.
Or like yourself, you'll host these events, and I know what it's like to organize an event. It's a lot of time and work, and it's not like you're getting paid back for it.
That's right. No, you'll see even some of your more stereotypical, what you might expect of the community, turn into the softest of hearts. This is the biker community is, you know what? There's no tearing it apart, and when it comes to kids, man, watch out.
Oh, yeah, very
fast.
Very, very protective. 100%, man. Yeah, sorry, straight, bro. We're just kind of signing out, but thank you for joining us, man. I always love it to see your name in the chat, brother. Okay, I think that we've done good, man. I appreciate all your time and everything you do for the community, man. I wish you nothing but the best.
Cheers, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time as well.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Let's stay in touch.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Paul. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all coming. And you won't see me live tomorrow in the chat. I got to work. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night. Thank you again. Much love and much respect.